As a practical matter, I'm curious because I knew so you broke away and you did the YouTube thing, but does this mean you're not working with Rupert anymore, or what does this mean?
Well, what it means is that I have basically acquired my YouTube channel. So I had a 3-year deal with Rupert Murdoch and News, and I had a very good chat with him about what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be just a talent for hire anymore when it came to the deal being renewed. They made me a very generous offer, which I said, look, it's very generous. I'm really appreciative, but I actually want to own my own business. And like you, I think we've both worked out that the future is not traditional linear television or traditional newspapers or any of the kind of legacy media, for want of a better phrase. Anyone under 40 is now consuming almost all of their news, opinion, and comment from shows like mine, shows like yours, and individuals who are creating their own kind of media entities and using YouTube as the main platform to do that. And I think that this is the future. I've got 3 sons, 31, 27, 24. They don't watch conventional television. They get all their social media, and in particular via YouTube channels like yours and mine. So I think it was a logical thing to do. I don't even think it's a risk. We've done the hard yards, you and I think, in building our personal brands. And people, I think, like to hear what we have to say. They like the interviews we do. They like the debates we put on. And this is absolutely, to me, the future. And I think more and more people will take the leap and come with us on what is a pretty exciting journey.
I totally agree with you. And one thing that's great about YouTube and this other format is people can consume it the way they want. If they want to watch the whole show, they can watch the whole show. If they prefer to just watch sort of the hot clips or the things that interest them that were in the show, it's so easy for them to do it. It's just it caters to what is the desired user experience so much better.
Yeah, and I would add to that they can watch it when they want to. The younger generation do not want to be beholden to conventional schedules. When I first started doing my show, I was doing it on YouTube, but also on a linear platform called Talk TV in the UK, which didn't last very long because there wasn't the kind of appetite for it that Americans have for cable news late at night. And that was fine because I could see that the numbers on the YouTube version were going through the roof, and that was completely unencumbered by any kind of artificial schedule. Before I was trotting into a television studio at 8 p.m. every night here in London, and there were advertising breaks, and there'd be an hour, so maybe you get 47 minutes of airtime all broken up. And you're like, why are we doing it like this? Why don't we just forget about the linear thing? Most of our audience actually don't want it. They're all gravitating to a YouTube version of what we're doing here, which doesn't have any ad breaks in real time. We can go as long as we want, and people can watch it whenever they feel like. And that has been, I think, the absolute eye-opener, not just for me, but for a lot of people in the industry. You saw with the recent election in America that more people watched the election night on YouTube than watched it on cable and broadcast. And the latest numbers I saw as well a few days ago said that I think it's about 12% now of American television watchers watch television on their smart TV through the YouTube app.
Yes.
Now, that's an amazing statistic. And that means at this rate, I think the cable number is about 18%. The network number is about 23, 24. That means that very soon, probably in 2 years maximum, YouTube will be the #1 way that most people watch television. They'll be watching it through the YouTube app on their smart TV. It's a revolution that's happening actually very quickly. It reminds me of music, when it went from vinyl to digital. Everyone thought it would take years. Actually, when it happened, the revolution came very quickly. And you're seeing the same with newspapers. I used to be a newspaper editor for many years in the UK. Print versions of newspapers are basically dying out very quickly. The digital versions will survive for those who work out a good digital strategy. But this is all because young people, they live in a digital world, as you know.
So many people have told me that they watch this show on their TV via YouTube. Like they just,
Right.
we all have the YouTube app, we have the Netflix app, whatever. You just go to the YouTube app and you watch it like you watch a regular television. They don't really even see a difference between linear television and the YouTube options now, except in content and presentation and who's there, because you can do a lot more and say a lot more and approach it very differently and more authentically on YouTube than you can if you were on conventional television. Which is why, not for nothing, but didn't you think it was so weird that Dr. Phil decided to buy a linear TV channel to launch. I'm like, I love Dr. Phil, but what is he doing, right? And I don't think it's doing very well. And he's now starting to toy with having more of a presence in the digital lane. But it's just that whole Oprah model is dead. It's yesteryear. It's like playing with lanterns when we have electricity. Why would you do it?
Well, the interesting thing, I think, is it's a generational thing. I mean, the average age now of cable news watchers in America is 70, which means a lot of their regular viewers are 80 or 90. If you think about it, that's the average age. It's a similar dynamic, I think, with people who buy print newspapers. So, the print newspapers in America that have done quite well, mainly thanks to Donald Trump, actually. But if you look at, say, the New York Times business model, the reason they've managed to survive and thrive when others have really struggled is because of their digital strategy, which again was fueled almost exclusively by that first 4 years of Donald Trump's term in office. So I think that everyone's working out what their future game is going to be. But if you're not in the digital space now in the media, then you are frankly a bit of a dinosaur, and you've got to wake up. You asked me at the start whether I'm still working with Rupert Murdoch. He absolutely gets this. And in fact, News are retaining a slice of the advertising revenue for the next 4 years on my YouTube channel. And I'll continue to appear when I come to the States on Fox, on all the shows there, The Five and so on, which I love doing. But they understood that, I believe, rather like you do, I think, when you've built up a YouTube channel that has, both of us have over 3 million subscribers now, this puts us in the top 5 or 6 people in the world right now who are in the news opinion debate space, and we're on YouTube. And I'm sure that you would have similar numbers to these, but I've done some interviews. I did a guy called Bassem Youssef, who's the Egyptian version of Jon Stewart. He was the biggest star on Arabic TV, and he came on my show just after the Israel-Hamas war started. 23 million people watched that interview on my YouTube channel. I then did him again in Los Angeles, a much longer, more thoughtful interview, and another 12 million watched it there. Similarly, I did an interview with the real-life stalker from the Baby Reindeer saga.
That was amazing.
Incredible story.
That.
Yeah, and the only interview she's ever given, Fiona Harvey, and she made some extremely damning claims about Netflix and about the reality, and said, look, in the series, which has now been decorated with a string of awards, you might have noticed in the last few weeks, in the actual reality, she never went even to court, let alone be convicted of any crime of stalking. So it'd be really interesting whether it carries on winning awards, but ultimately Netflix have to give this lady a massive check for a pretty serious defamation. So that one got another 16 million viewers on our YouTube channel. But interestingly, as you know, it's not just about the YouTube channel. It's about X, it's about Facebook, it's about TikTok. We have one clip on TikTok from that interview, which has now been watched 36 million times. And it was a clip of me asking her, were you in love with him, with Richard Gadd, who's played himself in the series and is the supposed victim of her stalking, even though she never got convicted of a crime. So I think the point I'm making is you would never get those kind of numbers for interviews on conventional television now. Those days are long gone. You used to, in the great old days when television was the only medium and there was no internet, you would get stratospherically big numbers. Michael Jackson interview, I remember getting 40, 50 million. Those days are gone. You will not get that on anything on conventional television. But on YouTube now, you can see these seriously big numbers.
It's fascinating and it's so fun. And we're so lucky to be over here.
It's fun, isn't it? That's the thing. It's just fun, right? You and I think we wake up and we're not now beholden to any bosses. We can pretty much do whatever we like. There's a wonderful freedom about it. It is fun, and you can basically talk about whatever you want to talk about. And if people like you as a personality, or even if they like to dislike you, but they find you compelling, whether it's me, you, or Tucker, or whoever it may be who's out there doing this, they at least have total freedom themselves to watch us when they feel like it, in the way they feel like it. They can watch us on their phone, on their laptop, whatever they want. It's a whole new world, and it's being driven by young people who I think have an even greater desire and thirst for information and news, but they're not going to get it off conventional media.
Increased tariffs on our trade partners, tax cuts, and regulation changes. There's a reason why gold is a diversification tactic now more than ever. Birch Gold is releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. To get your free copy, along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold, text MK to the number 989898. Here are the facts. The national debt continues to increase. Our interest payments on the national debt continue to increase. So gold is an important option, and it can be your hedge against a weakened dollar. Birch Gold can convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Text MK to 989898 for your free copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. There's no obligation, just information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and thousands of happy customers, find out more about Birch Gold. There is a reason so many people love these guys and take all or just a small part of their existing IRAs and move them over into gold with Birch. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.